Welcome to another episode of Coach's Corner. I'm Scott Ellis, and I'm joined by assistant coach Curtis Wilson. Coach, you're coming off a big sweep at Lafayette. How's the team feeling right now?
We were feeling pretty good, and then we had a little break. You just hope to be able to keep that momentum that we gained that weekend. I thought our guys did a great job of following the game plan that coach put forth and playing with a lot of energy and a lot of effort, and a lot of guys contributed to us having a successful weekend.
And Coach has commended your efforts in working with, especially with the post players. Can you just talk about how the post play has evolved these last few weeks, especially after the graduation of Max Mahoney? Both Jack and Suk especially have really upped their, at least their stats on the court.
Well, Coach is awesome to give me a little love with that. But to be honest with you, it's the staff. We work with those guys. It's not just me. It's Coach Jones, it's Coach Corbin, it's Coach Quinn, it's Coach Paul. We all have our hand in trying to help those guys in any way we can. But the bottom line is those guys. It's Suk and it's Jack. They put the time in. As Max did. He got better every year. And the one thing you can see with Suk, who's a senior now, he's gotten better every year. And he works, tirelessly on his game. Same with Jack. He works tirelessly on his game, on his craft. And so, the best thing for a coach is to have people who want to get better. They want to get better. They want to reach their potential. And so it's easy to work with those guys because they're doing the work and they put the time in. And we all know, Scott, is what do you do when the coaches aren't around you? And I can tell you this, Suk and Jack put the time in when the coaches aren't around, so, and for us, it's just great to see the development because how much they care about it.
Right. And I mean, it was certainly a team defensive effort against Lafayette. The Leopards were coming in averaging, close to 80 points a game. Y'all in the second win only held them to 61. Can you just talk more about the defensive effort? And then going into this weekend, you're going to play against a Colgate team that's all about offense.
Yes. Well, to start with Lafayette, we all know they're an extremely well coached team. They've always been one of the best offensive teams in the Patriot League. Since Coach O'Hanlon has been there. Who is a phenomenal coach in his own right, but offensively he's very special in the offensive end of coaching. So to really hold a team with that much firepower, starting with Jaworski that can shoot the ball, and a lot of guys that can make shots, and they run offense where they try to make you chase them, and if you start chasing them, they're going to get the shots they want and they knock them down. I think the one thing that happens now this year, Scott, is the fact that we're playing back-to-backs. So, a lot of energy that goes into not only executing offense, but then trying to execute your defense can be a big deal if you're not mentally prepared to stay with what the game plan is. I thought Lafayette, our guys, did a great job of following the scouting report and, just trying to make them work for every opportunity they got, every basket that they were able to get. We wanted them to work for it. And as you saw in the second night, they didn't shoot the ball as well as they did the first day. And that's been evident in the league. Basically when you look at stats from game one to game two, shooting the ball has been something that's been tough for almost every team on the second night, just because it takes a lot. It takes a toll on your body and your legs, all that stuff. So and then going into this weekend against Colgate, who's always traditionally been one of the best offensive teams in the league, starting with their individual play with a Jordan Burns and, obviously the other talent they have in their lineup that can score the ball and make shots, and, with Cummings and Richardson. And obviously, I think some of their bigs inside are getting better and better every time you watch them. And, they're just a solid team from top to bottom. And for us, it's going to take a monumental defensive effort to be able to make it hard for them to make the shots that they're accustomed to making, is make those shots harder. And then on the other end, be able to execute what we're trying to do on the offensive end. You also have to keep pace with teams that can score the ball. You have to try to keep pace on the offensive end also, because you're not shutting anybody out. It's basketball. So, but being able to keep pace, and then, then put some stops together the best you can. And that's the best shot you got, to try to slow down a team like Colgate, who's lost one game so far this season in the conference. So,
Right, and you didn't have the full team in that first weekend against Colgate, and guys having them all healthy the last 2 weekends against Army and Lafayette. Um, do y'all watch all that game footage against Colgate those first two
yeah.
games, or do y'all kind of scrap and like, we have a new team right now?
No, you watch it because you watch it to see, still they're accustomed to doing some things they like. Some things they do really well, and some things they just do well. But in the same sense, you're just trying to see what are the things that are going to give you trouble, regardless of who's playing in our lineup. They're still going to execute the way they execute. So it's a matter of trying to figure out the things they execute at a high level, and how to try to figure out a way to slow that down. First of all, and then obviously, chemistry is important. We saw the run last year that we were on, and the chemistry was there, and the guys just clicked. And no excuses. Practice has been sporadic. It's when you're not practicing, it does make it hard. It makes it difficult for your team to get a rhythm, and guys to get back into that groove of playing with each other, and the lineups, different lineups, substitutions. All those things were kind of all over the place the last month. But we feel that with guys getting healthy, and guys pretty much back to having our 18 guys that are on the roster at full strength. But right now we still have a couple guys that will still be down physically and out, like a Villarino and a CJ. But in the same sense, it's still, the majority of the guys that played last year are back, and they're all pretty much getting into their groove right now. So we feel pretty good about that. It's just nice to see our whole team in the practice for the most part, without those two guys I mentioned. So, you're just watching, coaches watching, and, trying to see how the chemistry is working, and who's working well with who, and, all that's very important. So we're excited about to see where we are this weekend coming up, as we go forward.
Right, and focusing on Suk and Jack in terms of the post play. But if you look at other stats, the guards have really helped out on the rebounding effort. Can you talk more about that? How it is important for the guards to be out there, whether boxing out or getting some of those loose balls, to help preventing other teams from getting second chance looks.
Oh, no question. Coach Jones has been he has put in a lot of emphasis onto our guards about going and helping the bigs rebound. So going to help Jack and Suk and Walt and Fletcher rebound the ball. He's put a lot of time into talking to the guards about, you guys have to do your part. And as you saw the last weekend that we played, those guys did a great job. They did a great job. The one thing about this league, and Scott, that there's a lot of jump shots being taken. So, that leads to long rebounds. And if your perimeter players aren't putting that effort in to go and help rebound some of those balls, it could be a long night, because the balls are traditionally going to come off, higher and longer. So, a lot of times, you have Suk, you have Jack, like I said, Walt and Fletcher, those guys are in the hole pretty much trying to block out. But if the ball's going long, their percentage of those getting those rebounds are going to be very low. So, the percentages for your guards to get those rebounds should be very high. So you can't just sit and watch and assume that those guys are going to get the rebound. And I thought, our guys did a great job of going and help out the guys up front and rebounding the ball. So you definitely are on point with that. It's been an emphasis from Coach Jones and the rest of the staff on trying to get some better perimeter rebounding.
Right. And then you lost the first two games against Colgate. Obviously, the desire is to win. But outside the final result this weekend, what do you want to see from the team?
Can we play a complete game? As we did against Lafayette. We had a lead at sometimes in those games, which was great. I think in Colgate we didn't really have a lead at all. maybe one, for the first minute of the game, or 2 minutes of the game. Other than that, we didn't really have a lead ever. So being able to hopefully get off to a good start, not play from behind so much against teams like that. That's very good. It's hard to play from behind consistently with them. You have to try to play at a tight game. But I thought in both games, the first half, we competed pretty well in those games in the first half. We had some opportunities, but we just couldn't put the string together, on both ends of the floor to either get the lead or keep it at a position where it comes down to the one or two possessions at the end of the game. So, we had our stretches in the first two games where I thought we were there. We competed pretty hard, but it seemed like we run out of steam a little bit. We ran out of steam a little bit in those games. I'm sure from watching it, and you can see the separation that happened as you got into the second half, and later in the game they had obviously their ability to pull away was huge.
Right. Well, one final question. I've noticed it seems like foul trouble really hasn't been an issue so far this year. Obviously, knock on wood. But
I was just about to say knock on wood, Scott.
But I mean, can you talk about that? Like, do you think your post players have done a good job of making sure to avoid those foul issues?
Yes. Well, you're going to have some games depending on who you're playing against where you're going to be more in jeopardy of getting fouls. But we all know that, guys that play up front are susceptible to having more opportunities to get fouls called against them because it's such a physical position on both ends of the floor where, defensively you're trying to protect the basket and keep guys out of the paint. And then on the other end of the floor, you're trying to get position deep to get close to the basket, and you're setting screens and you're trying to help on penetration and help on ball screens, which there are a ton of ball screens set. So you're trying to give assistance there. So, post guys are always in position to pick up some fouls. And so we've been pretty fortunate that we haven't had to really go long stretches without, having Suk and Jack available to play along with Walter and Fletcher up front. And, obviously then you have, freshmen and Morales and, a couple other guys. But it's the same sense, like you just don't really know what to expect until that game's being played. But we've been pretty fortunate, it's knock on wood, like you said, as I'm doing right now.
Well, thank you very much for joining me, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
All right, Scotty, let's roll.